Yeah, great. Thank you. Happy morning and a warm welcome to all of you. Today we are going to discuss how to select the right sewage treatment plant and plant technology. And this is from a STP buyer point of view. Why should we know the STP buyer point of view? Sometimes some STP buyers also join this conversation, right? So this presentation is primarily meant from them, and when we go and present to the client, we should know what to speak, what is their expectation, how to meet their expectation, how to present our case to them. It is like forewarned. You know what the guy is expecting. If he is not talking the right language, you should tell him this is what you should be looking at. All right? Okay. So do you have your permission to move ahead? Please show your thumbs up. Great. All right. Thank you. Just give me a second, please. I need to go to my screen. One second. Something is to be modified. All right. Our objective today, that means the objective of this presentation is to help the decision maker, that is the customer who is buying an STP, somebody like a builder or a MEP engineer or a consultant, our channel partners like you, our sales teams like you, our facility managers, to choose the right sewage treatment plant and technology. I am using two separate words, plant and technology. And it should align with regulatory norms, and the treated water should be reusable, and the project might have some very specific needs, right? Specific needs like they would like to reuse 100% of the water, they would like to throw away 100% of the water very clearly and confidently. So this is the objective. So by the end of this presentation, we would have some basic idea of how to choose the right STP for a specific requirement, considering regulatory norms as well as reuse patterns. All right. Okay. Welcome. Let there be a small brief introduction about Indus Ecowater. As you all know, Indus Ecowater is a wastewater focused company with 20 plus years of industrial experience, installation of 1000 plus STPs starting from 2 KL per hour to 4.6 KL per day, right? And extensive experience in all sewage treatment technologies like extended aeration, MBBR, SBR, Jokasu, and various ETP related technologies like zero discharge, and one of the few approved technology providers from Karnataka Urban Water Supply and Drainage Board. We are one of the very few technology providers as approved by Karnataka Urban Water Supply and Drainage Board. This is for our SBR STPs. Okay, somebody like Xylem and CTech. So we are one of those few people. Now, the importance of STP selection. Why STP selection is important? Because STP has capital cost as well as operating cost. When we are saying capital cost, that is the cost the client is going to pay upfront. When we are talking about operating cost includes the manpower required to run the STP, the power bill that is required to run the STP, the chemicals and consumables required to operate the STP, and also occasional periodic maintenance, repair, or any replacement of parts that are required. These all form part of capital expenditure as well as operating expenditure. In the case of STP, we have a very strange scenario. The operating cost is more than the capital cost. If you consider a lifespan of 5 to 10 years for an STP, the capex is only a small portion. Most decisions by clients are taken considering only the capital cost. They don't look at the operating cost. So as STP vendors, we have to show them the right path. That means we have to explain to them why operating cost is more important than capital cost. Capital cost is you incur one time, right? There is a very old proverb which says, जो महंगा खरीदा वो एक बार रोया, जो सस्ता खरीदा वो बार बार रोया, right? रोया मतलब he has been crying, he will cry. Capital cost is only a one-time cost, whereas operating cost is a recurring cost. So recurring cost is the reason number one why most STPs are not working in Indian context. People are just not able to afford the operational cost and they are shutting them down. One more small interesting fact here is, when we are talking about operating cost, we need to realize that 1 HP power, 1 HP motor is going to cost you 50,000 rupees per annum in terms of electricity. Let me explain how it is. 1 HP, when we are saying when you run it for 1 hour, it is 0.75 kilowatt. That means 0.75 units. If you are running it for 24 hours, 0.75 into 24 is equal to 18 kilowatt. 18 units of power it will consume in a day, right? 18 units multiplied by 30 days in a month, 540 units. 540 units multiplied by 8 rupees a unit today, that is something like 4,300 odd, multiplied with 12 months, roughly 50,000 rupees per annum. That means if your STP has 5 HP power, the client has to spend 5 into 50,000, 2.5 lakhs towards power cost. This is only electricity cost, right? Why are we discussing this? If we can save 2 HP, right, we can save 1 lakh. If the STP could be costing 1 lakh more initially also, in 6 months time, you are getting back your additional investment, right? Looking at this way, a 100 KLD STP operation and maintenance cost would be a minimum of 12 lakhs per annum. So when the client is buying an STP, please explain to them. The first thing you should say is, do you have to buy an STP? Absolutely. Do you need this? You don't need this. Buy it only if you absolutely need it. Avoid if you can. The reason being, STPs are expensive. STPs are a headache to maintain. And you should buy only if it is absolutely essential. We keep getting few clients from residential sector, high-end homes. They call up and ask us, I want to buy an STP. We generally certainly discourage them. Buying STP for a home is not a viable proposition in the present circumstances because of the cost considerations, operation and maintenance considerations. Okay, so start off your discussion with a client, start off your presentation with a client, asking him if it is absolutely essential to go for a STP. And recommend an STP only if it is absolutely essential. There is no other way out, right? And focus on compliance and treated water reuse. The number one reason why people buy STP is compliance. Nobody is buying an STP for pleasure, or nobody wants to reuse the treated water unless there is absolute shortage of water. So the reasons why people buy STP is first, compliance. So any STP that you buy, your first objective should be met. That means your STP should help you meet the regulatory norms, whether it is Pollution Control Board or Water Supply Board. When we talk about regulatory norms, these are the two departments that regulate your STP. First, Pollution Control Board. Second comes your Water Supply and Sewerage Board. In most cases, water supply, that is drinking water supply, as well as the wastewater removal, are handled by one department. If it is Hyderabad, it is Hyderabad Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewerage Board. If it is Bangalore, it is Bangalore Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewerage Board. Okay, it is same case with every metropolitan city. And other reasons that we generally buy STPs is prevention of waterborne diseases, right? Of course, most people don't bother too much about this, so we should not be talking about this. Let's move forward. Firstly, what is sewage? Let us understand what exactly is sewage. You will be surprised to know that sewage is 99.95% water. Okay, plus a 0.05% impurity. Whatever impurities we are talking about is only 0.05%. So what is expected from an STP? Any type of STP that we are installing has to remove this 0.05% impurity from the remaining 99.95% of the water. If you remove this 0.05% impurity, your water becomes 100% water. Your sewage becomes 100% water. So the goal or objective or the single purpose of any STP is to remove this 0.05% impurity. Okay. Having said this, it sounds very simple and stupid. We are removing 0.05% some 100% matter. It should be ridiculously easy, right? But the reality is 70% of STPs in India are not working. Why most STPs are failing? We'll get into the reasons. Basically, there are three different major reasons that we can think of. Reason number one, design issues, right? What are the design issues? Either your STP is under-designed or over-designed. It is not suitable for your site, right? Some classic cases, let me explain. We have somebody called, okay, let's not get into the name. We have a very popular vendor in the country, a retired IIT professor from Mumbai, who sells STPs with an outdated technology called RBC, Rotating Biological Contactor. This RBC is an outdated 1950s technology. He made some modifications. He calls it patented because of the IIT stamp. People blindly go and buy. There have been spectacular failures that we came across. Spectacular. I'm not talking about small STP guys buying this. I'm talking about large corporates. Corporates like Alembic Reality. And then big customers like My Home. Yesterday we got a call from My Home Bhuja. What is the prestigious project? My Home Bhuja, probably Jewel of Hyderabad, has an STP supplied by this gentleman. 2 days ago, we got a call asking us to come and check up why it is not working, how it has to be revamped, retrofitted. Okay, so the point we are making here is people get carried away when they look at credentials of vendors and ignore design issues, select wrong technologies. This is number one reason why STPs fail. Number two reason, operation and maintenance issues. When we say operation and maintenance, by default, it's difficult to get STP operators. So we are dependent on semi-illiterates or probably illiterates. From poorer states like Assam, Orissa, UP, Bihar, poor people come and work here because they don't have an alternative, right? We are depending mostly on them as operators. Educated people are reluctant to get into STP operation and maintenance. And the cost of operation is huge, like we discussed. And spare parts availability is again a problem. So for these reasons, most STPs are again not in use. The third is lack of an ecosystem. When I'm saying an ecosystem, we don't have a system of ensuring that the STP is operated properly from government's point of view. If you look at Pollution Control Board, the Pollution Control Board in Hyderabad probably is divided into 3 zones. Each zone has 4 people. Those guys have to look after the industries. Those guys have to manage the apartments, hotels, hospitals, everything that you can think of, including giving permission to new STPs, new ETPs. 4 people managing thousands of installations, impossible. So there is no ecosystem to ensure that your STP is fully functional. As a result, what happens? Users tend to switch it off. There is no pressure on them, or there is no incentive for them to keep it running. All right. So how to choose the right STP technology? Again, let's go back to this. This is the agenda of our discussion today. So we need to start with the end. What is end? Treated water comes out. That is the end. So why we need to start with the end? First, we need to understand why we are treating, what is the purpose of our STP. Like we discussed previously, the purposes can be compliance or environmental considerations, like environmental nuisance you call it. You don't want foul smell coming in your neighborhood. You don't want flies coming into your neighborhood, flies and mosquitoes. These could be the reasons why you want to set up an STP, right? Or it also could be that you don't have water, you want to reuse the water, so you are setting up an STP. Out of love for environment, nobody sets up an STP because it's a headache. It's not a question of investing money. It is also a question of investing your time and energy to keep it fully functional. So first we need to understand, if I am setting up an STP for compliance, I have to ensure that the treatment process, the technology is approved by the appropriate board and it meets the compliance requirements. If it is only from environmental nuisance, let us say you are living away from city, there is no compliance pressure. You have a farmhouse, there is no compliance pressure. It's only that you want to avoid flies and mosquitoes to come close to you and make STP treated water a home. You'll want to avoid the smell. So you set up a STP for that reason. Okay. The third is there is acute shortage of water like Bangalore, where you have to use treated water. By using treated water, you can cut down fresh water consumption. In such case, you have to set up an STP. But you have to be very clear why you are setting up this STP, so that you decide on the equipment based on your reuse. If you want to reuse, you need more equipment. That means the technology has to be different. If you just wanted to treat and use it for gardening, let us say a farmhouse, there is no need for reuse. There is only to prevent flies and mosquitoes to come and prevent foul smell. There you can go for most basic STP. Alright. Now, what will you do with STP treated water? What is this question? Sounds very interesting. So what are the options available? Either we can put the water into farming, that is irrigation or drains, or we can go for partial reuse like toilet flushing, or we can go for full reuse like we have done in one of these projects recently. Now based on this, you will decide on the STP equipment. So you need to know not only equipment, even technology. Let us say you want to reuse the water 100%. Then you would go for a more expensive process like MBR coupled with RO or electro ionization, some different technology. So technology is based on your reuse pattern, right? Then finally, last but not least important is how you are going to dispose of treated water. This sounds very simple. I'll put it into the drain. And lots of times draining into municipal sewers is not permitted. Please check up, especially if you are a large project. If you are setting up an STP of 200, 300, 500 KL, you are not allowed to drain this water into municipal sewers. Why? So the municipality people or the government or pollution control board will think initially you have taken a permission to drain treated water. At some stage you will start draining untreated water. They don't want that risk. So they'll tell you reuse 100% of your water, which is actually not possible. Okay. Then there could be some drain flowing. If it is a school, college or university, there will be some kind of drain. But you have to check your compliance requirement. Irrigation department, does it allow you to throw your treated water into the drains or not? Their apprehensions are very simple and based on the previous experience. Sometimes people run the STP and most of the time they don't run. And the raw sewage goes into those drains. If the drain happens to be a drinking water source, you have a problem, right? Some of us tend to think, okay, let me put back this water into the ground. If you build an apartment complex with 500 flats, there is hardly any land available in city, right? There is no possibility of so much of water going into the ground. It is technically not possible. All right. So, please consider, the reason I had put it in red mark. So please consider whether soak pit is a possibility or not. All right. Now, if we can sum up this, first we have to understand why we are treating water, what we are going to do with the treated water, how we are going to dispose of untreated water. Why, how?
अरे भाई आपको थोड़ा म्यूट पे लगाओ ना
म्यूट देम
म्यूट पे लगा दो
చేసేసి B1 లో ఎన్ని చేశారా B1 LT చేశారా
ఈ రోజు
LT ఊట్ చేసి
MNT ఎవరు
yeah okay sure I muted this gentleman
yes sir.
Okay, all right, okay, moving forward, let us look at some kind of reuse. How to select a technology based on our reuse pattern. So first thing that we look at is discharge into some nearby drain, which is very popular. If we are going to drain our sewage treated water into a drain or a nala, what is the ideal technology? Based on my experience, I recommend two possible technologies because they are very simple: easySTP plus or MBBR, moving bed bioreactor. What are these technologies? How they work? We'll go into that section little later, maybe 5-10 minutes later. Okay. easySTP, because it is very simple and the treated water goes into the drain, there is practically no need for having a dedicated operator for easySTP. And second option is MBBR. MBBR also requires very little or almost, it does require little operation. It cannot run without operators, right? So one of these two technologies you should use if you are going to discharge this into a nearby drain or nala. If you are going to reuse some of your treated water for flushing, then what you should be doing is go for one of these two technologies or sequencing batch reactor, plus you need to go for ultrafiltration for 30% capacity along with UV, right? UF of 30% capacity plus UV. And sewage treatment technology, any technology including easySTP, MBBR or SBR. MBR is not suitable for this purpose. Alright. Now, what if I want to reuse more water? There will be situations where you would like to reuse more water. If you are an industry where you have a lot of cooling tower requirement, you are a hotel, hospital where there is a lot of cooling tower HVAC requirement, you have a boiler where you want to feed the STP treated water. In such cases, MBR, membrane bioreactor, might be an ideal process, or easySTP followed by ultrafiltration. Alright. Understand how we are choosing the end use and then going for choosing a technology. Suppose you want to use it only for gardening. You don't want to put it back into the drains. Then go for easySTP plus UV or MBBR plus UV. You can even go for SBR plus UV. But the point is SBR is slightly more expensive to, in capex as well as operating cost. Okay. Now let us try to understand what are the major sewage treatment technologies that we have been talking about. Till now, we talked about 4 or 5 different names: easySTP, MBBR, SBR, and then MBR. So what are these things? Let us try to understand very briefly. First, let us begin with membrane bioreactor. Membrane bioreactor has two things. There is a membrane, there is a bioreactor. So there is a membrane immersed in a bioreactor. A bioreactor is nothing but a place where biological activity takes place. It's not a chemical reactor, it's a biological reactor. That means it's a storage or process tank in which there is certain biological process happening and you have inserted one membrane into that tank. Now, this is considered to be one of the latest technologies. I have my own reservations on whether this is viable, not viable, because it is prohibitively expensive. It is almost 3 to 4 times more expensive than MBBR or SBR, and to operate it requires highly skilled manpower and the treated water quality will be good. But please understand, if you go deep into MBBR, it's nothing but a membrane kept in a MBBR reactor. MBBR is nothing but MBBR plus membrane. The biological process is all MBBR. And then in the end, you are keeping one membrane. It is not a substitute for biological process. It is biological process plus a membrane-based filtration process. Alright. Now, what is wrong with this? Technically, it is high-tech, costs a lot of money, and gives you high-quality water. So, we assume that everybody should go for this. But the problem is, capital cost is high, the replacement cost of a membrane is high, and it requires highly skilled operators. So, many people can't afford it. Wherever there have been instances people bought this, they struggle to keep it running, then they replace with conventional MBBR process. Alright, let us look at the next technology. called sequential batch reactor. Some people also call it sequencing batch reactor. Both are interchangeable. Please note the word batch. What batch means is it simply is a batch process. When it is a batch process, that means whenever there is certain volume of water available for process, it will treat. This is ideal for large scale STPs like municipalities, right? The process tanks volumes are smaller. It is suitable for that kind of applications. All right. Now, what is wrong with this? It is having higher level of automation, not as high as MBBR, but still has high level of automation. It costs more. It costs less compared to MBBR, but it costs more compared to, it costs more compared to MBBR, but costs less compared to membrane bioreactor. Of course, in terms of costing, it is number 2. If number 1 is MBR, number 2 is SBR. Number 3 is MBBR. Number 4 is easySTP. So, if we have skilled operators, we have more space, if we can spend more money, we should go for SBR. Municipalities by default world over go for SBR process. Because at that volume, it is viable, they are automated. A 5 mld STP or 10 mld STP, 20 mld STP can be operated by 3-4 people. That is a level of operation. But same number of people are required even for a 500 KLD STP or 100 KLD STP. At 500, 100 KL STP, it is not viable. Okay. The third technology that we can talk about is MBBR, Moving Bed Bioreactor. MBBR. This is again a continuous process. It is not a batch process. There is only one batch process, that is SBR. Rest all processes are continuous. That means they are not dependent on the availability of sewage. SBR by nature is dependent on the availability of sewage. So it might be suitable for certain applications like hotels, hospitals, where your loads are fluctuating very wildly. You don't know how many people are going to stay in your hotel this weekend. If it is a business hotel, Saturday, Sunday, the crowd could be very low. If there are large number of functions, the crowd could be very high on Saturday, Sundays. So based on the load, the process will start here. So ideally, SBR is not suitable for a residential application where the loads are more or less constant. They don't change much. The fluctuations are not huge. Okay. Now, MBBR by nature, because it has less automation, it has less maintenance. And it is more friendly to operators. Even semi-literates will be able to handle a MBBR STP. All right. Now, who else is there? easySTP. easySTP or Jokasu is the process that we have Indus Ecowater is promoting in India. Jokasu is world #1 technology with 80 lakh plus STPs working in Japan alone. This is like a fit and forget system. It is completely made in the factory and totally operator free. This is ideal for smaller capacity. Up to 50 KL, you can go for easySTP with your eyes closed because it doesn't require any operator. And there is very little equipment. When there is very little equipment, it requires very little operation and maintenance also. All right. Now, what are the disadvantages with easySTP? The awareness levels among customers or users is very low and they are not available everywhere. Okay. So, if you can just look at this in the form of a graph, right? On our x-axis is capital cost, on our y-axis is operating cost. The highest is our MBR, the red dot has more capex, more opex. Why people go for it? Because it gives you best quality water. Followed by SBR. SBR will cost you less than MBR, but more than MBBR, but will give you better quality water, especially for municipal applications. Third comes MBBR. MBBR is this brown dot where your capex and opex are relatively lesser than SBR, but more expensive than easySTP. easySTP, by virtue of not requiring any operator, by virtue of having only one single moving part, will cost you little lesser compared to MBBR in terms of capital as well as operating cost. When I am talking about capital cost, please consider both civil as well as electromechanical equipment. All right. Okay. Now, what are the mistakes that people do when they are buying an STP and how to avoid those mistakes? Let us look at this. Most customers that I came across are not objectively analyzing the cost. When I am saying objectively analyzing, what it means is people are considering only electromechanical equipment cost. An ex vendor is quoting for SBR. He is quoting for electromechanical equipment. He is not quoting for civil works because civil works are typically in the scope of the buyer or the builder. When I am offering him an easySTP, the client only looks at X vendor is quoting 10 lakhs for equipment, Indus Ecowater is quoting 12 lakhs. But what he fails to understand is that 10 lakhs guy is asking you to spend another 10 lakhs on civil works. Your total cost, capital cost is 20 lakhs. So this factor is overlooked by most customers. I want my sales team to start focusing on this. I want my channel partners to start focusing on this and educate the clients with respect to civil works plus electromechanical equipment. When you combine these two, any other technology like MBR, MBBR, SBR, they are more expensive, much more expensive compared to easySTP. All right. And easySTP requires very little manpower on the site also for installation. So the installation cost is also a fraction of any conventional process, any other process. And second, reason number two, mistake number two that people ignore or people commit is they don't consider environmental issues. That means, what are the environmental issues? STP makes a lot of noise. It's a big environmental issue. STP generates a lot of foul smell. Large STPs generate large quantity of vibrations. So these vibrations, if the STP is there in a cellar of a multi-storied building, vibrations can go right up to the top floor if it is not properly installed. I have seen cases like this. I have been asked to rectify. Initially, in my early days, we also encountered this problem. So it is a real problem, not an imaginary problem. So you have to consider these problems and take appropriate measures. What are the problem number one in any STP? Smell. People dread because of STPs because of smell. And why does smell come? If the STP is in an open area, the smell problem is not there. If the STP is in a closed area, there is a smell problem. That means there is no ventilation. If you are keeping it in a closed area, it lacks ventilation. So you need to put up a properly designed mechanical ventilation system. Again, mechanical ventilation is expensive in terms of capital cost as well as operating cost. You might have a wonderful mechanical ventilation. That means a blower, air blower, which is taking away the air, foul air from your STP area. If the operator is switching it off or you want to save power and switch off, then you have a problem. Okay, so these are the factors that one needs to consider, must and should consider before going for a STP designer or vendor. Now, the third mistake that large number of people do is, it worked elsewhere, so it will work for me. I am just giving an example of that RBC technology. RBC technology works wonderfully in Indonesia for water reasons. Malaysia and Indonesia are the two countries in the world where RBC is used extensively, or at least was used extensively. Our IIT professor shows those examples, shows his patents, shows one or two installations. Like he will show the bus stand. He will show it like India's largest STP working in a bus stand. But that is open area. It works in open areas. It cannot work in closed areas where there is no ventilation. If you go and take it and put it in -2 in a multi-storied complex, obviously it is going to fail. So what works for others may or may not work for you. You need to define your own specific need, your own specific site conditions, and understand whether that STP is going to work for you. All right. Now, how to prevent our STP failures? I was just talking about this example, right? Do not get misled by one or two successes. Whenever you come across some new technology, be very careful. Most new technologies will prove to work in lab scale. When you scale up, they may not work. You don't have so many installations to generate or validate those designs. The same thing happened to this IIT professor. 80% of their installations are failures. They are selling STPs at premium price to premium builders, category A builders, corporate builders. They are looking at IIT professors' credentials and buying it. And in the end, after 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, replace it with a conventional MBBR, SBR, STP after a lot of fighting with the building owners association, residents associations. Right? Now, let us decode STP buying. What is the sequence or what are the things that I need to consider? There are 5 things that I suggest we should consider. First, arrive at the right size of your STP. What is the right size? Instead of going by what STP vendor says, every STP buyer should use a STP calculator provided either by CPHEEO or NBCC, or you can use a calculator, ready-made calculator available at our website, modernstp.com. Okay. Check for yourself what is your STP capacity. Do not go by hearsay or vendors. Second, clearly understand reuse needs and disposal options. When you say reuse needs, how you are going to reuse this water. If there is no planned reuse, don't go for MBR. Treat the water to the highest level and throw it into the ground. That is not required. Okay. It will only ensure that it is not sustainable. You run it for some time because you are passionate, and after that, when people are not available, you give up. That should not be the case. And understand the space availability. Third, every STP needs large amount of space, and space is not available in cities. So please consider space availability for STP. Then put your cost in black and white. Capital cost as well as operating cost for 10 years. There could be multiple technologies. You should be able to say, have a Excel sheet giving you details of capital cost, operating cost, manpower cost, chemical cost, power cost, everything broken down over a period of 10 years for different options. If I go for MBBR, how much it is going to cost? If I go for SBR, how much it is going to cost? If I go for easySTP, how much it is going to cost? Which is beneficial for me over a period of 10 years? This is what you need to consider. And last but not least, you have to discuss with experts. No builder is an expert in sewage treatment. Sewage treatment is not taught in schools and colleges. Sewage treatment is a learned skill. So, over a period of time, vendors develop certain skills which cannot be replaced with theoretical process. So, you have to go to those experts, listen to them, and don't go to one expert. Go to 2 experts. Most likely, they will give you different opinion. But still, you take your call and ask them to give this kind of Excel sheet for whatever technology they are recommending. A 10-year projection for capital as well as operating cost. All right. Now, what are the advantages for Indus Ecowater? Let's come to this final stage of our presentation. How does Indus help? We offer ideal technology suitable for your site. We don't sell one technology. We manufacture easySTP, but easySTP is not ideal for every location. We sell SBR, we sell MBBR. Based on your site requirement, we give you STP requirement. All right. So, our advantage is we give you all possible options. Why am I going back? Okay. This is advantage number 1 with Indus Ecowater. And just because we want to make more money, we don't offer you a technology which you may not need. Theoretically, SBR is always more expensive than MBBR. But 90% of the vendors in the market are going and recommending SBR where an MBBR is more suitable. The reason being, SBR will cost you 25% more. So if I'm going to a client and selling him something for 20 lakhs in MBBR, the same project I can get 25 lakhs if I'm pitching for SBR. So most vendors are going for option 2. They are not looking at the feasibility and need for the client. We don't do this. All right. And then we calculate your STP capacity scientifically. even if you give us an inquiry saying that I need 50 KL, 100 KL, 500 KL, we ask you questions, right? We scientifically calculate your STP requirement, capacity requirement, and we offer you complete ecosystem. When I'm saying this complete ecosystem, a lot of small category and mid category vendors depend on outside service providers. They buy large number of components from outside. They just integrate, right? Then they don't offer O&M. They don't train your operators. Whereas we have in-house team for all these aspects, right? From design to manufacture to providing knowledge and services. We are even setting up a spare parts sales portal in a month's time, so that you can buy all the STP required spare parts in one shot in a very transparent manner, which is essential for any residential welfare association. All right. And above all, we have unmatched experience in all technologies that you can think of: MBBR, SBR, MBR, as well as Jokasu. And across all applications like residential, commercial, industrial, municipal segments. We are one of the few people in India who have even executed municipal STPs of large capacity up to 5 MLD. All right. And we offer a completely free technical advice to guide you what technology, what capacity you should be buying. You should be planning for your STP. These are the advantages of Indus Ecowater. All right. Now, question hour time. I'm ready for your questions here. Guys, questions please.
फुलारे भाई आप है क्या? आप है तो बात कर सकते हो.
Yeah, please unmute yourself before asking a question.
Anyone, Gautam Garu, you can also ask. Okay. Manimaran, Aditya, you can made.
Hey, anyone.
Yeah,
so please keep the conversation in English so that
Yes. Yeah.
Pulare and other
Yes.
Gentlemen can understand.
Anyone can ask questions. Now is the question time. Okay. Aditya, you can show your video. I haven't seen you since long. Yeah. Manimaran team, you can. Aditya, hi Aditya. Yeah. Fulare, sir, you can open your video. Just please open all. Gautam, sir, please, you also. This is a question time. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you all, please.
Okay, thank you guys. Wonderful seeing all of you. So, Gautam, I'm sure you would have a lot of doubts now because you are the perfectionist.
Yeah, I think we have covered all these in our past discussions. Just said, I noted down few things.
Mani, you are not asking anything. If you are not asking anything, it means you have understood 100% or you have not understood anything at all.
Not once.
Hey, you can also ask. I think you have some queries. Please. You are free to ask anything. Please.
At least you can ask me my full name.
Aditya, congrats. I think I heard that you are able to generate few inquiries. Please ask questions on that. Any hurdles?
Any problems you are facing?
Problems, yeah.
What kind of questions your customers are asking? You are not able to answer any particular query. That also you can ask.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Mahesh. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Mani.
Actually, we are facing one. I just want to know one thing, sir. Regarding certain industries, they are merging UTP and STP together. So
Okay.
for that, you just give me small instructions so that we can able to handle such customers, sir. Actually,
Right. Wonderful question. Now, technically, PCB, Pollution Control Board, does not allow mixing of domestic wastewater into effluent. Effluent means any water that is used in the process, that is generated in the process. So, process wastewater should never be used with, never be merged with industrial wastewater should never be merged with domestic sewage. So, every industry needs to have a STP separately, ETP separately. And if you can check this in a document called their consent. They have a document called consent for operation, CFO it is called.
CFO.
Consent to establish, CTE. One of these two documents, if you see, you will realize that they would have given separate directions to set up separate STP and ETP.
But it's most of the cases we are facing the things are actually. Most of the customers, matlab in industries, actually they may have 20 to 30 members in industry.
So they might say set up a septic tank.
Got it, sir. Got it.
See, we can help only if a person wants to be helped. He doesn't want to buy, there is nothing you can do. Right?
Yeah. Got it.
Every industry
Thanks.
has its own way of managing things. They bribe people and get away with that. We can't help it. We can't change their thought process.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thanks for your answers.
Thank you.
Sir, before that, I request don't company pays. Please don't discuss on the company names. Why means we are discussing on channel partners are there, so we do not do any conflict in between. Let's discuss general in between. It's my request.
Let us try to avoid names where possible.
Yes.
That's a good suggestion. Gautam.
Sir, in our case, in most of the sites, RO rejection, they want to.
Gautam, your voice is very low.
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. RO rejection, they want to reuse. Do we have any scope for that?
What is the TDS of this RO reject?
Around it will be more than 3 to 4,000.
3 to 4,000. Okay. 3 to 4,000 TDS is not suitable for plantation. That is for sure. Right? And if this is an industry, RO reject is considered as an effluent. It has to go to the ETP.
Okay.
Right? And in the ETP, what happens is it will only dilute the organic content. It will increase the TDS but dilute the organic content. That means if I have a stream of water coming at 500 BOD, 100 KL, I have 50 KL of RO reject coming up, probably with 0 BOD. Both will become 150 KLD at, let us say, 300 BOD or 350 BOD. It will only work to that level.
Yeah, understood.
What is the input TDS for this RO that we are talking about?
Around 1,500.
1,500. So if you can take 50% recovery from your RO, your reject will have TDS below discharge limit, that is below 2,100. Right? That you can put back into the ground. Okay. If this is an industry, if it is a residential apartment kind of thing, this RO reject can be thrown into the drains. There is no question of ETP. But it should not be added to the STP. It will only add to the problems. High TDS water, if it is more than 3,000, 4,000, even bacteria cannot digest. Please understand one thing. All the STPs, ETPs that we are talking about here are meant for organic content. That is carbon, hydrogen molecules. Whereas TDS is contributed primarily by inorganic constituents like sodium, magnesium, calcium, metals and minerals. Right? So ETP, STPs are not the solution for removing TDS from water.
Got it. Understood.
Sir, next questions.
Yeah, please.
Regarding अपना जो easySTP है,
जी हाँ,
उसमें क्या होता है, हमारा जो कमर्शियल प्रोजेक्ट रहते हैं उसमें इसी का अप्रूवल लगता है हमको, इन्वायरमेंट क्लियरेंस.
जी हाँ.
ओके, तो उनका कुछ उनको 60% 40% अपना ओपन स्पेस चाहिए जो अपन डिजाइन करते हैं, कलेक्शन एरेशन जो प्रोसेस है अपना वो ओपन में चाहिए होते. तो इन केस आप उस केस में आप क्या कर सकते हैं इसको easySTP में?
What I understood is open में चाहिए मतलब
जो अपना टैंक्स है वो उसको कवर नहीं चाहिए, उसको स्लैब या कुछ क्लोजिंग नहीं चाहिए.
ओके,
वो ओपन टू स्काई चाहिए उनको. हाँ
ओके.
हाँ,
ये ओपन टू स्काई शायद इसीलिए मांगते हैं क्योंकि अगर टैंक बंद होने से उसमें से गैसेस बाहर नहीं जाते हैं, ऐसा कुछ उनको एप्रहेंशंस होंगे. मुझे ऐसा केस तो कहीं नहीं देखा हूं मैं, बट दिस एग्जैक्टली इज व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन यू सेट अप एन एसटीपी इन सेलर. अगर समझिए अपार्टमेंट कॉम्प्लेक्स है, कमर्शियल कॉम्प्लेक्स है, आप सेलर में लगा रहे हो एसटीपी, तो जाहिर है कि आपके टैंक्स बंद होंगे।
नहीं ना सर, वही अभी जो इसी ने जो रूल्स बनाया ना
जी
इन्वायरमेंट में, सेंट्रल टीम ने, ओके,
ओके
तो उन्होंने क्या करते कि जो अपना अपना ड्राइंग्स जब अपन प्रपोजल ड्राइंग भेजते हैं उनको,
जी
ओके,
हाँ
तो उसके बाद सब क्राइटेरिया चेक करते हैं कि कितना ओपनिंग है, क्या है, तो उसके
ओके
बाद ही उसको अप्रूवल देते हैं, नहीं तो विदाउट अप्रूवल नहीं देते सर। उतना स्पेस उनको रिक्वायर्ड है, उतना ओपन ओपन टू स्काई चाहिए चाहिए। हाँ
ओके, थोड़ा ये
हाँ
ये गाइडलाइंस मुझे शेयर कीजिए। लेट मी स्टडी दैट
हाँ,
गाइडलाइंस एंड गिव यू ए पर्सनलाइज्ड एडवाइस ऑन दिस हाउ टू अप्रोच।
ओके
किशोर
ओके,
प्लीज कलेक्ट दिस गाइडलाइंस।
Noted, sir. Noted, sir.
ठीक है सर, ठीक है, ओके।
और कुछ डाउट सर?
Actually, the machine room, can it be underground or
Gautam, you need to close little, come closer to the mic. Yeah.
machine room, regarding the machine room,
Okay.
should it be always above the ground or can it be underground also?
When you are saying machine room, I am assuming you are talking about a pump room in an STP.
Yes, yes,
Am I correct?
yes, yes.
Okay. Now the idea is something like this. In every STP, what is that we are doing? We are pumping large quantity of air into the process tank, whether it is MBBR, SBR, MBR, easySTP, any tank, any biological process, we are taking external air, putting it into the process tank, bioreactor,
Okay.
right? Now this air is going to come out. Water is not going to dissolve all the air, obviously. So the air is going to come out. When the air comes out, it is going to come out with moisture. It will be moist air. That is why if you walk into any pump room of any STP, you would find that all the pipelines, all the MS filter vessels are corroded within 6 months.
Okay.
This is because of high levels of moisture. There is no rule saying that you should put it below ground or above ground. There is no consideration. Only thing is, it needs to be ventilated properly. One of the main reasons why STP smell is because this heavy air that is coming out from the process tank remains at the bottom of the pump room. It doesn't go out, even if you have a mechanical ventilation. Most of the time, mechanical ventilation is there at the roof level of the room. Like they have a HVAC pump. The blower is there at the just below the roof in the pump room. So it is picking up the lighter air from the top areas, whereas the heavier air is remaining in the tank bottom.
Okay.
So when we are designing the mechanical ventilation system, we need to tell the client, if you want better result, please put your mechanical ventilation suction fan at 1 feet above ground level.
Understood.
Right? But if it is in open area, if it is above ground with huge windows, that is always an advantage. You are always getting fresh air. So fresh air has no smell. Recirculated air has certain amount of smell. Clear? Kishore, from your side, any doubts?
No, sir. I want our team has to participate. That is only I'm waiting. Aditya, you please.
So any question that your client has asked and you have not been able to answer to your satisfaction, ऐसा questions कुछ है तो पूछिए.
Sir, what is the output of our easySTP pressure, sir?
Pressure.
Output pressure of the easySTP.
Output pressure will be maybe around 0.1 kgs. Or water will not have any kind of pressure because there is no pump. We are using an airlift pump.
That's what.
Suppose you put a hand pump. Borewell का आप hand pump मारते हो, कितना pressure से पानी आता है? There is hardly any pressure.
Nothing.
So same logic applies here also. We are using an airlift pump. Maybe at 1-2 feet it can lift the water up. मुश्किल से.
So from
it is
there
not
we need
designed
to-
for any pressure.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you are taking water from SBR, MBBR with sand filter, carbon filter, then the carbon filter outlet is coming out at least at 1 to 1.5 kgs pressure.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Gautam, anything?
हेलो,
Yeah, please go ahead.
हाँ सर, अपना जो आफ्टर एसटीपी जो आउटपुट क्वालिटी है बीओडी और सीओडी,
जी हाँ
वो एग्जैक्टली सर कितना आता है? क्या आपको जब अभी जो इसी के नाम से अपना लेस देन 10 बीओडी चाहिए,
जी
तो
हाँ,
उसको क्या सैंड कार्बन फिल्ट्रेशन कंपल्सन देना अगर जरूरी है?
जरूरी नहीं है. Sand carbon filtration I recommend only when you have flushing requirement. Otherwise जरूरत नहीं है.
ओके, तो विदाउट
आपको बिलो 10 बीओडी ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाएगा.
ओके, तो खाली फ्लशिंग के लिए जरूरत लगेगी?
जी हाँ जी हाँ. But what we recommend is if the STP capacity is more than 30 KL, we recommend disc filter. Why this disc filter is it will remove suspended solids from water, right? And it does not require daily backwash like you do in sand filter carbon filter. easySTP का thumb rule है fit and forget system और ultra low maintenance, मतलब डेली आदमी वहां खड़े होके चलाने का जरूरत नहीं है. दिस इज द फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल ऑफ easySTP. So we will avoid equipment like sand filter carbon. Sand filter carbon filter आप जब लगाएंगे तो उसको बैकवॉश करना जरूरी होता है डेली.
राइट.
तो अपना जो मेन स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट है ऑपरेटर फ्री वो डाइल्यूट हो जाता है.
हाँ, पर उसको सर अपन ऑटो में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं उसको भी अपन ऑटोमेशन.
सर ऑटोमेटिक मल्टीपोर्ट वॉल्व्स का मेरा एक्सपीरियंस बहुत बुरा है.
ओके.
बहुत बुरा एक्सपीरियंस है मेरा. वो मेरा जान खा रहे थे जहां पे भी लगाया. हमारा टेक्नीशियन जाके उसको हैंडल नहीं कर पाते हैं, मुझे खुद जाके उसको प्रोग्रामिंग करना पड़ रहा था. आई हैव बिकम एन एसटीपी ऑपरेटर आल्सो समटाइम्स.
वो तो है सर, वो तो है. प्रोग्रामिंग बार बार चेंज हो जाता है, उसको रीसेट करना पड़ता है उसका.
सी यही मैं बोल रहा था, कुछ टेक्नोलॉजीज ऐसे होते हैं ऑन पेपर दे लुक वेरी गुड बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू रियलिटी दे आर नॉट वैलिडेटेड. वो रोबस्ट फुल प्रूफ नहीं है.
नहीं फुल प्रूफ नहीं सर. सर मगर अपन जो डिस्क फिल्टर देते हैं, ओके, क्या उसको बैकवॉश करने की या इसको जरूरत नहीं, या उसको प्रेशर की जरूरत नहीं, प्रेशर पंप की?
इसको क्या करते हैं जहां पे बैक डिस्क फिल्टर देते हैं, 2 डिस्क फिल्टर देते हैं. यही बोलते हैं कि एक 10 दिन के बाद में दूसरा यूज कीजिए. जब आप दूसरे के लिए वॉल खोलेंगे, बॉल वाल ओपन करेंगे, फर्स्ट वाले को वॉश करके लगाइए. एंड इफ द सिस्टम इज बिगर देन 150 KL or 200 KL per day, we have installed automated disc filters which go into backwash mode based on the pressure difference.
मगर सर उसको प्रेशर पंप की जरूरत नहीं है,
पंप का जरूरत है. डिस्क फिल्टर्स ऑलवेज रिक्वायर प्रेशर, so there is always a feed pump provided.
ओके.
क्या
साइज आता है सर? टेंटेटिव स्टैंडर्ड साइज क्या आता है सर उसका डिस्क फिल्टर का?
आई एम सॉरी सर,
डिस्क फिल्टर का स्टैंडर्ड साइज क्या आता है सर?
डिस्क फिल्टर का साइज मतलब आपको 2 तरह के देख सकते हैं. एक तो इनपुट आउटपुट 1 इंच साइज, 1.5 इंच, 2 इंच साइज वैसा भी देख सकते हैं, या फिर आप 10 KL per hour, 5 KL per hour वैसा भी देख सकते हैं. डिस्क फिल्टर में तीसरा पॉइंट ये है कि 300 माइक्रॉन का डिस्क फिल्टर मिलता है, 150 माइक्रॉन का डिस्क फिल्टर मिलता है, 500 माइक्रॉन का डिस्क फिल्टर मिलता है. बट हमारा जो कंडीशन है सैंड कार्बन फिल्टर में आपको 1000 माइक्रॉन का कट ऑफ रेंज आता है करीब करीब. सो इक्विवेलेंट आप लगाएंगे तो उसका बैक वॉश रिक्वायरमेंट कम होगा. आप 150 माइक्रॉन का डिस्क फिल्टर लगाएंगे, उसका बैक वॉश रिक्वायरमेंट फ्रीक्वेंटली होगा, ज्यादा होगा.
राइट.
जितना छोटा पार्टिकल आप ब्लॉक करेंगे उतना ही ज्यादा आपको बैक वॉश का रिक्वायरमेंट होगा.
बराबर. ओके. तो जितना माइक्रॉन ज्यादा, समझो अपन 200 माइक्रॉन का लगाएंगे तो उसको बैकवॉश फ्रीक्वेंसी कम होगा या ज्यादा होगा उसको?
200 माइक्रॉन से ज्यादा मैं रिकमेंड करूंगा कि 500 माइक्रॉन लगाइए. 15 दिन में एक बार उसको बैकवॉश करने से भी चलेगा.
ओके. जितना फाइन करेंगे उतना बैकवॉश फ्रीक्वेंसी बढ़ाना.
बढ़ेगा. जितना फाइन में जाएंगे आप उतना ज्यादा आपका मेंटेनेंस रिक्वायरमेंट रहेगा.
ओके. राइट सर. ओके, ठीक.
Sir, as per your knowledge, in SBR, what is the maximum automation we can do?
SBR maximum that we have done, I mean personally I'm talking about myself, we have done remote monitoring with a SCADA.
Okay.
Right? Okay. I feel that is the highest level of, that means sitting in my office in Hyderabad, I can run the plant anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world over internet.
And what about this, sir? If there is like a low occupancy, can we adjust the system to run on a lower loads also?
STP, SPR?
Yes, SBR.
SBR को आप ऐसा मॉडिफाई करना मुश्किल है, बिकॉज इट इज अ बैच प्रोसेस एंड यू आर डिफाइनिंग योर बैच साइज. जब आप टैंक का कंस्ट्रक्शन करेंगे तो एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम you are defining your tank size. You can't go for less than that.
That can't be programmed, that batch size.
Again, it will depend on your water level, your oxygen transfer efficiency. You would have considered some factor. It is possible in MBBR. MBBR को आप ऐसा कर सकते हैं. You can run your blower for 1 hour, switch off for the next 30 minutes. You can program like that. SBR is little difficult to tamper like that.
And in MBBR, like this media replacement will be a big headache, right? Which is
no. Media is when you are saying media, I'm assuming that MBBR media,
yes,
right?
MBBR.
Not sand carbon media.
MBBR media.
MBBR media typically has a life of 10 years, but after third year onwards, you have to be replacing 10 to 15% of media every year. Okay. Because some small portion of the media becomes, it gets broken, becomes powder and goes out into the settling tank. So you keep adding some 10% or 15% of the media third year onwards.
And compared to SBR, that is a big challenge, right, in MBBR?
SBR doesn't have any media at all.
Yeah.
See, here you have two concepts. One is attached growth, second is suspended growth.
Okay.
MBBR is attached growth, that is why it is more efficient. SBR is suspended growth.
Okay.
Less efficient.
Because what I understood is that in the media replacement or media handling in MBBR is a bigger challenge.
When you say media handling, you are just pouring media through a bucket or through a gunny bag into the aeration tank.
All right.
Whoever is talking like that is basically wanting to sell an SBR plant because of the higher order value.
Okay.
He would point out some mistakes. Customer को तो कुछ पता नहीं है. He would point out some mistakes. SBR में, MBBR में ये होता है, वो होता है.
So in any case, we don't actually replace existing media.
No. MBBR media does not have to be taken out, does not have to be cleaned and put back also. Because by nature, it is like a gear. It rotates and any excess organism attached to that will fall off. It is a self-cleaning media.
Oh. Sir, then what is whether there is an advantage of SBR over MBBR?
See, SBR and MBBR, if you see, SBR is a batch process, right? Okay. So where you have highly fluctuating loads, we discussed function halls, yes. We discussed hotels, hospitals, high-end hospitals. Today you generated 100 KL. Next day you generated 50 KL. Third day you generated 75 KL. If you have fluctuating loads like this, it becomes difficult in MBBR because it is a continuous process. Your operator will struggle. If it is a batch process, whenever there is a batch, let us say you have defined your batch capacity as 50 KL. Whenever you have 50 KL volume, it will go into process. Whether that happens once in a day, twice in a day, or after 3 days, doesn't matter.
So the volume consideration is only advantage this.
Yes. And in municipal STPs, you don't have this kind of collection tank, etc. Basically, there are two bioreactors. Again, in municipal STP, the constraint is you don't know how much of water is going to come.
Yes.
Right? So, in such case, there are two SBR reactors. One is open at any point of time. So, water straight away goes into one of the reactors. One is in process, one is in standby.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Sir, we have one client, okay. Sai Verma is from Vijayawada. He is facing some challenges.
Okay.
So he observed, he has an existing MBBR system.
Okay.
So he addressed in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Sir, they are observed. They have a sir. Sai Verma, sir, you want to speak directly?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please talk.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning, Andy. Please go ahead.
Sir, అది మేము ప్రెసెంట్ వచ్చేసరికి లాస్ట్ 10 years నుంచి ఈ టెక్నాలజీ యూజ్ చేస్తున్నాము.
ఓకే అండి.
సార్ మాది వచ్చేసి షాపింగ్ మాల్.
షాపింగ్ మాల్. ఓకే అండి.
షాపింగ్ మాల్ ఒకరోజు 50K ఉంటుంది, మీరు ఏమంటే ఒకరోజు 80K ఉంటుంది, ఒకరోజు 25K ఉంటుంది, ఒక్కొక్క రోజు 100K కూడా ఉంటుంది.
అవునండి.
అయితే మాకు ఏమవుతుందంటే సార్ ఇక్కడ మనకి యూరినరీ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది.
అవును.
దానివల్ల మాకున్న ఏదైతే ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ వెండర్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో వాళ్ళు మీ దాంట్లో వచ్చే సాల్ట్ కంటెంట్ వల్ల మీ దాంట్లో MLSS డెవలప్ అవ్వట్లేదు. MLSS డెవలప్ అవ్వకపోవడం వల్ల మీది ఫిల్టర్ అది ఏమంటారు,
బయాలజికల్ ప్రాసెస్ అవ్వట్లేదు.
బయాలజికల్ ప్రాసెస్ అవ్వట్లేదు. దానివల్ల మీ వాటర్ ఎక్కువసేపు, మాది యాక్చువల్లీ more than 4 hours దాటితే సెప్టిక్ గా కంటామినేట్ అయిపోతుంది వాటర్. ఇది ఫైనల్ వాటర్.
అవునండి.
ఫైనల్ వాటర్ కంటామినేట్ అయిపోతుంది. సో మేము ఏం చేయాలి, ఫర్దర్ సొల్యూషన్ ఏమైనా ఉందా దీనికి?
ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ మన దగ్గర యూజ్ చేసిన ప్రాసెస్ MBBR ఉందా, FMBR అన్నారా మీరు?
FBBR సార్, ఫెబుల్ మీడియా.
ఓకే. ఎవరండి వెండర్? ఆయన ఎక్స్చేంజ్, థర్మాక్స్ ఇట్లా ఎవరైనా ఉన్నారా?
చెంప్యూర్ సార్, ఫ్రమ్ చెన్నై.
కెంప్యూర్. ఓకే. ఐ నో కెంప్యూర్. ఓకే
సార్.
ఫైన్. సో దీనికి మన దగ్గర ఏమైనా రెస్టారెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయా మన షాపింగ్ మాల్ లో?
రెస్టారెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయి సార్, రెస్టారెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయి.
రెస్టారెంట్స్ వచ్చే వేస్ట్ వాటర్ దీనికి యాడ్ అవ్వట్లేదా?
అవుతుంది సార్.
మరి బ్యాలెన్స్ అవుతుంది కదండి, అప్పుడు ఫుడ్ లేకపోవడం అనే సమస్య ఉండదు కదా?
అదే సార్, బట్ అయినా సరే మీ దాంట్లో ఇదే ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది సార్, ఫుడ్ అది బ్యాలెన్స్ అవ్వటని చెప్పి వాళ్ళు కంప్లైంట్ ఇస్తున్నారు.
ఓకే. బ్యాలెన్స్ అవ్వట్లేదు అంటే ఇప్పుడు మనం బ్యాక్టీరియాని డెఫినెట్ గా గ్రో చేయాలండి. గ్రో చేయడానికి
ఎవ్రీ 3 months ఒకసారి మేము ఈ గోబర్, యూరియా, DAP యూజ్ చేసి బ్యాక్టీరియా డెవలప్ చేస్తున్నాము. విత్ ఇన్ ద 1 month ఆ బ్యాక్టీరియా మళ్ళీ మొత్తం కొలాప్స్ అయిపోతుంది.
అంటే మీరు డెవలప్ చేసినప్పుడు బాగుంటుందా ప్రాసెస్?
డెవలప్ చేసినప్పుడు 300 ml వరకు వస్తుంది సార్.
ఓకే. వచ్చినప్పుడు మీకు ఏం ప్రాబ్లం ఉండలేదు STP ట్రీటెడ్ వాటర్ లో?
1 week 10 days వరకు బాగుంటుంది సార్ వాటర్.
ఓకే. సో ఇప్పుడు ఇలాంటి స్పెషల్ కేసులో మనం ఏం చేయాలంటే, మీరు ఇలా కల్చర్ యాడ్ చేయడం లేకపోతే ఎడిషనల్ ఎంజైమ్స్ యాడ్ చేయడం అనేది ఒక స్టాండర్డ్ ప్రొసీజర్ కింద పెట్టండి. ఆల్మోస్ట్ లైక్ రోజు కొంచెం యూరియా, DAP యాడ్ చేయడం, జాగ్రీ యాడ్ చేయడం, రైట్? తర్వాత వాటర్ pH ఒకసారి చెక్ చేయించండి. నార్మల్గా ఏమవుతుందంటే pH చెక్ చేయడం అనేది STP లో అవసరం ఉండదు, బట్ జస్ట్ ఇన్ కేస్ ఒకసారి చెక్ చేయించండి. ఏమన్నా ఆల్కలైనిటీ తక్కువ వాటర్ ఎసిడిక్ గా ఉంటే కూడా బ్యాక్టీరియా గ్రోత్ ఉండదు. మీరు 1-2 సార్లు శాంపుల్స్ తీసుకొని, అంటే ఒకటే రోజు శాంపుల్ తీసుకుంటే మనకి కరెక్ట్ రిజల్ట్ రాకపోవచ్చు. లెటర్సే సండే రోజు లేకపోతే ఫ్రైడే రోజు కొత్త సినిమా వచ్చింది, సినిమా హాల్లో చాలా మంది యూజ్ చేశారు, షాపింగ్ మాల్లో థియేటర్స్ చాలా ఉంటాయి, ఆ రోజు మనకు వచ్చే శాంపుల్ రిజల్ట్ వేరుగా ఉంటుంది. సండే రోజు లోడ్ బాగా తక్కువ ఉన్నప్పుడు వచ్చే రిజల్ట్ వేరుగా ఉంటుంది.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే. మీ దగ్గర ఏమన్నా ఫ్లోమీటర్ ఉందా, రోజు ఎంత వేస్ట్ వాటర్ వస్తుందని డిఫైన్ చేయడానికి, చెక్ చేయడానికి?
నియర్లీ మాకు రోజు 50 KL అయితే యావరేజ్ గా వస్తుంది సార్ డైలీ.
ఓకే.
కంపల్సరీ 50 KL వస్తుంది.
ఓకే. ఒకసారి మీ STP డ్రాయింగ్, ట్యాంక్ సైజెస్, అంటే డ్రాయింగ్ అంటే ఐ వాంట్ టు నో ద ట్యాంక్ సైజెస్, రిటెన్షన్ టైం క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయడానికి.
ఓకే సార్.
ఈ ట్రీటెడ్ రా వాటర్, ట్రీటెడ్ వాటర్ 1-2 బాటిల్స్ లో తీసుకొని ప్రతి ట్యాంక్ లోంచి ఒక శాంపుల్ తీసుకొని ఒక ఫోటో తీయండి. కిషోర్ విల్ గివ్ యూ సమ్ అడ్వైస్. సర్టన్లీ దిస్ ఇస్ ఎ స్మాల్ ప్రాబ్లం. ఇది చాలా ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ లో ఉండే ప్రాబ్లమే, మీ ఒక్కరిదే కాదు.
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే.
మీ ఆపరేటర్స్ ఇవి హ్యాండిల్ చేసుకోవడానికి ట్రైన్ అప్ అయి ఉండాలి.
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే.
అంటే ఫెసిలిటీ మేనేజ్మెంట్ టీమ్ కి ఇచ్చారా ఇది?
వాళ్ళకే ఇచ్చాం సార్.
ఓకే.
కెంప్యూర్
వాళ్ళే మెయింటైన్ చేస్తున్నారు. మరి అలాంటి ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఉండకూడదండి.
అంటే ఫైనల్ ట్యాంక్ లో మనకి ఏరేషన్ ఇస్తున్నాం సార్. అయితే మరి OH ట్యాంక్ వచ్చేసరికి టెర్రస్ లో ఉంటుంది. టెర్రస్ లో మాకు ఏరేషన్ అనేది లేదు సార్. దానివల్ల ఏమైనా ప్రాబ్లం ఉంటుందా?
అంటే మనకి ఫ్లషింగ్ కి వాడుతున్నాం ఈ వాటర్ ని.
ఎస్ సార్, ఓన్లీ ఫ్లషింగ్.
ఓకే. దానిలో కూడా మీరు ఒక చిన్న బ్లోయర్ తీసుకొని ఏరేషన్ ప్రొవైడ్ చేయొచ్చండి.
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే.
అది ఎంత కెపాసిటీ ఫ్లషింగ్ ట్యాంక్ ఉందండి పైన?
ఫ్లషింగ్ ట్యాంక్ ఓన్లీ 20 KL సార్.
20 KL. డెప్త్ ఎంత ఉంటుంది?
డెప్త్ 16 feet ఉంటుంది సార్.
పైన ఓవర్ హెడ్ ట్యాంక్ లో?
పైన ఓవర్ హెడ్ ట్యాంక్ 16 feet ఉంటుంది.
16 feet అంటే రఫ్గా 3 meters అండి. 3.2 meters అలా. ఓకే. కొంచెం ఎక్కువే ఉంది. సో కన్వెన్షనల్ బ్లోయర్స్, సెంట్రిఫ్యూగల్ బ్లోయర్స్ పనిచేసే ఛాన్స్ లేదు. ఐదర్ యూ నీడ్ టు గో ఫర్, అంటే దానిలో ఫుల్ గా వాటర్ ఉంటుందా?
అవును సార్, ఎప్పటికప్పుడు ఫిల్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు, డ్రైన్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది, సర్క్యులేషన్ అలా కంటిన్యూ అవుతూనే ఉంటుంది.
ఓకే. ఓకే.
అయితే ప్రాబ్లం ఏమవుతుందంటే సార్, నైట్ ఎప్పుడైతే ఆపరేటర్స్ ట్యాంక్ ఫిల్ చేసి పెడతారో,
అవునండి.
ఎప్పుడైతే కింద కల్చర్ సరిగ్గా లేకుండా ప్రాపర్ ట్రీటెడ్ అవ్వకుండా పైకి లిఫ్టింగ్ అయిన వాటర్ సమ్
ఓకే.
టైమ్స్ మార్నింగ్ కల్లా స్మెల్ రావటం, కలర్ చేంజ్
అవునండి.
అవ్వటం, ఈ
ఓకే.
ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉన్నాయి సార్.
అంటే దీనికి 2 రీజన్స్ ఉంటాయండి. ఒకటి ఎస్టీపీ ట్రీటెడ్ వాటర్ ఎంతో కొంత స్మెల్ వస్తుంది, కానీ మరీ
అవును సార్.
రాత్రి నింపింది తెల్లారేసరికి స్మెల్ వస్తుంది అంటే అది బేసిక్గా దాని అర్థం ఏంటి అంటే కావాల్సిన లెవెల్లో ట్రీట్మెంట్ అవ్వట్లేదు. ఇంకా చాలా ఎక్కువ బిఓడి సిఓడి వాల్యూస్ ఉన్నాయి దానిలో.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే. సో దాన్ని ఏమైనా టెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నారా ట్రీటెడ్ వాటర్ని?
చెక్ చేయలేదు సార్, చూడాలి ఒకసారి.
ఓకే. ఒకసారి మీరు వాళ్ళ మీద డిపెండ్ అవ్వకుండా మీరు సొంతంగా
ఓకే
టెస్ట్
సార్.
చేయించండి శాంపుల్.
ఓకే సార్.
చెక్ చేస్తే మీకు ఒక ఐడియా వస్తుంది.
ఓకే సార్.
ఇంకొకటి మీరు ఏం చెప్తారంటే మీరు ఫెసిలిటీ మేనేజ్మెంట్ టీంలో ఉన్నారా?
అవును సార్.
ఓకే. సో ఎస్టీపీ వెండర్కి మీరు ఏం చెప్తారంటే రోజు పొద్దున్న నాకు ఒక శాంపుల్ తెచ్చి ఇక్కడ పెట్టండి.
ఓకే. ఓకేనండి.
ఓకే. అది బాగుంటేనే మీరు అలో ఇట్ టు గో ఇన్ టు ద ఓవర్ హెడ్ ట్యాంక్.
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే.
మీ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ ఏంటి? మీ కస్టమర్స్ మీకు కంప్లైంట్ చేయకూడదు.
అవును సార్.
సో అలాంటప్పుడు యూ హ్యావ్ టు మేక్ యువర్ వెండర్ రెస్పాన్సిబుల్.
ఓకే సార్.
ఇట్ ఈస్ దేర్ జాబ్ టు గివ్ యూ బెటర్ క్వాలిటీ వాటర్.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
మీరు డిజైన్స్ ఏమైనా షేర్ చేస్తే విల్ గివ్ ఏబుల్ టు గివ్ యూ సమ్ అడ్వైస్.
సరే సార్, నేను షేర్ చేస్తాను.
ఓకే.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే అండి.
ఓకేనండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
థ్యాంక్ యూ. ఎనీ అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్?
Sir, one last question.
యా గౌతమ్.
In residential community, to keep the major complaint we are facing is operating cost.
అవునండి.
Operating cost, are there any thumb rules like to reduce?
Reduce operating cost. See, one of the main constraint of operating cost is manpower.
Okay.
Number 1. Number 2 is power. Right?
Okay.
You have to go for an STP that requires probably less manpower, less electrical power. Technology choose చేసుకునేటప్పుడే ఈ ప్రికాషన్స్ తీసుకోవాలండి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మన ఈజీ ఎస్టీపీ లాంటి వాటికి వెళ్ళారనుకోండి, ఈజీ ఎస్టీపీ సేవ్స్ 70% పవర్ కంపేర్ టు ఎంబీబీఆర్ ఎస్బీఆర్ అండ్ ఇట్ డస్ నాట్ రిక్వైర్ ఎ డెడికేటెడ్ ఆపరేటర్. ఈవెన్ 100 KL ఎస్టీపీ ఉన్నా కూడా ఒక్క ఆపరేటర్ డే టైంలో ఉంటే సరిపోతుంది.
Why is that, sir?
దీనికి ఏం ఎక్విప్మెంట్ ఏమి ఉండదు, ఒక బ్లోయరే ఉంటుంది విచ్ రన్స్ ఆన్ ఇట్స్ ఓన్. సో దెర్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ ఎన్ ఆపరేటర్ విల్ డూ.
And what about in SBR, sir?
SBR is supposed to be run 24 hours. So 24 hours మీకు ఆపరేటర్స్ కావాలి. అంటే థియరిటికల్ గా 3 ఆపరేటర్స్ ప్లస్ ఒక రిలీవర్, కనీసం 4 ఆపరేటర్స్ కావాలి ఎస్బీఆర్ ఎంబీబీఆర్ కి.
In spite of automation.
Yes, despite of automation. See, STPలో ఏ STPలో అయినా ఫస్ట్ వచ్చే ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి? ప్రాబ్లం నెంబర్ 1, పంపు చోక్ అవుతుంది. సో ద ఫీడ్ పంప్ హ్యాస్ టు బి టేకెన్ అవుట్ పీరియాడికలీ వెన్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ చోకింగ్ అండ్ వాట్ ఎవర్ ఈస్ అక్యుములేటెడ్ దేర్ ఇట్ హ్యాస్ టు బి removed physically. If you have a super efficient power screen, this problem will not come.
In Jocoso, is it not the case?
I'm sorry?
STP. Easy STP lo does.
ఈజీ ఎస్టీపీలో అసలు పంపే లేదు కదండి. There is no pumping in easy STP. So it goes through gravity. Right? So next week probably we'll discuss more on at least 2 technologies. We'll talk about easySTP and MBBR. In the coming week we'll talk about SBR and MBR. So in next 2 weeks time we'll cover Kishore, please make a note of this. So next 2 weeks we'll cover STP technologies.
And also we want to convey that every week, every Saturday we have a webinar live, so that you can ask your clients as well to join with us, so that we can discuss all technical, all wherever they find challenges we can address them. Yeah,
I request all of you that please educate your clients, right? Let them join this kind of discussions. They will get confidence that we are doing the right job for them. Ultimately we all want business. Business comes only because of right level of knowledge to the client. We are not here in a short term to misguide the client and take the order. That's not our objective. I have explained to you how an IIT professor sold large number of STPs, including My Home Bhuja, and those things are failing and everybody is sorry about it. It's not a small builder. Even a builder like My Home is taking a wrong decision based on they got carried away. When they looked at the credentials of the person who is selling the STP, they got carried away and STP is installed. 700 KLD STP in my home puja, not working, right? So you can avoid this kind of catastrophic failures when they have more knowledge. So please request all your clients to join next meetings. Okay. Thank you. Thank you once again for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.